about how can I make a difference? How may I serve the people? Now, even if you're a wholesaler and investor like me today, and I still sell real estate as a realtor, the level of your success and happiness is in direct proportion to the number of people you serve selflessly.
Welcome to another episode of the Leads to Deals podcast, where we talk about everything from leads to deals, and everything we talk about leads to deals. You're watching this because you're obsessed with leveling up your life, dominating sales, mastering the art of persuasion, and skyrocketing your financial success. I want you to grab your seatbelts. I want you to buckle up, because today we got an absolute legend in the real estate game. As you likely already know, from arriving in the U.S. as a refugee, as a kid, with nothing but grit, determination, and the highest of energy, to building $100 million real estate empire. Thach Nguyen is the real deal. He's not just talking the talk. He's walked the walk from the ground up for decades. Get ready for some no BS, hard-hitting sales insights into how to dominate real estate and, more importantly, life. Welcome to the show, Thach.
Come on, baby. Make some noise out there, baby. Make some noise out there, baby. Let's get it.
We need that Jamaican.
Let's go.
I love it, dude. I love your energy. It's something that I'm curious. It's not even my first question, but for you, is the energy just habit now? Was it natural? Did you have to create it in the beginning and then it became your personality?
Yeah, it was. You know what I mean? If, I know we're going to dive a lot more into this, but, before I even learned about sales skills, you know what I mean? I was more, and still today, more of an introvert. Once I get off the stage and the camera and everything, I don't really like, to be out there as an extrovert. You know what I mean? I get invited to many different functions. You know what I mean? Afterwards, after I speak, like I'm going to be speaking over here in Austin here coming up. And I already got text that we got private dinner afterward with all the different speakers, blah, blah. Yo, are you coming? I'm like, let me think about it. You know what I mean? Because once I get done on stage, I like to just chill with, one or two small group of people and just relax.
Yeah, I get it 100%. I think that I looked at sales in the beginning as being like this great equalizer. And I said, well, wait a minute, I don't have to be tall. I don't have to be fast. I don't have to be overly educated. I didn't have to come from a rich family. Right. But if I had enthusiasm, which came across as energy, it would like transmute. And so no matter what you feel and into the ether, but I was just like, oh man, this is something that high energy benefits my life. Yes. And it conveys my message to my recipient to get them to take an action.
I'm a big believer, Scott. People buy for who you are more than what you say, but what you say matters.
Amen. Amen. They buy the salesperson first, right? Because if that's not a trustworthy person, then so.
And when I mean who you are, I also mean the biggest part of that is energy.
Amen. Yes. I do a lot of training with my team. We have a large call center and infrastructure here where I was telling you at my office. And I'm like, the advantage with us is we get to stand at our cubicles. We got this big, and motion creates emotion. Yeah, and I know that I'm communicating with a lot of people in America. And I try to explain to these guys, the reason why people are so heavy in the United States, just to be candid, it's poor food habits, but it's lack of mobility. So neurologically, I get to elevate that person. I get to be moving. I have my emotion and I get to lift that person up. So how important is it to meet somebody and kind of elevate their energy to get the brain moving?
100%. You know what I mean? I always been, play only probably less than 30%.
Yes.
But the energy play like 60%. And so, of course, when I started, I didn't have a lot of experience. I started at 21 years old as a realtor. And I didn't have a track record of selling homes. I lived on home, right? And so what I had two things to do was I had to learn how to master scripts and dialogues.
Yes.
And then, of course, I had to learn how to have good energy, right? And also, I'll tell you guys, good energy also comes from integrity.
Amen.
Because you can have good energy, but if you are a thief and a robbery, they can feel it that also. So we got to be congruent. So for me, I had to bring up the energy and then have the sales skill follow right next to it. That helped me a lot. And so every time I walk into a room, I have to light the room up. You know what I mean? Because people are gonna buy me for my energy more than what I say.
Yeah.
But what I say does matter.
Yeah. Authenticity is like the overall vibe here. It's like people can connect, and you can't sometimes put a finger on it, but you just know.
That's
you,
right.
you just know when you're in a communication with somebody who's like, okay, he doesn't believe what he's saying, or he's got commission breath, or some of these other things. So
100%.
I know you've done a lot of mentoring and coaching to like realtors and wholesalers. I have I always see these two camps a little bit at odd. I'm curious for you, who do you think it's easier to teach sales tactics to, who are naturally more receptive, established realtors or established wholesalers?
Oh man. I would say wholesaler.
Yeah.
They have less, I would say, it's interesting because as a realtor for many years, and then to that, I train a lot of realtor, they have bad habits from the industry.
Yeah.
And the habit is a mindset habit. And the wholesaler come in like clean chalkboard.
Yeah.
And they can learn. Now, if somebody is fresh as a realtor, if you train them well, they will do well. Yes.
Yeah. I kind of see these two camps as one of them being like somebody who would wear a polo and the other one a t-shirt. Yeah. And so a lot of this is hustle muscle. That's right. So the guy who's willing to have his sleeves ripped off and go out there and just bang and bang, or door knock and door knock and door knock, it tends to be that wholesaler camp. That's the thing that I like about realtors who make the transition into investment space is they're a little bit more educated and analytical. They understand a business standpoint, and they can kill the hustler pretty fast and go into CEO. Wholesalers, they tend, a lot of times I find, and even myself, when I first got into the space, I got so addicted to the small spreads where it was just like, okay, that's a 15K check. It took a while to start thinking like, no, long term.
I agree. I think, and I think there's pros and cons for both. As I noticed, a lot of realtors have a hard time transitioning or even adding being a realtor and a wholesaler. And their mindset where they get stuck is, how do I actually do right for the seller?
Yes.
If I'm wholesaling the deal, wouldn't I actually get more money on the MLS? And that's where their mind get blocked. But I will agree with you that if they understand the concept and the strategy of wholesaling, they understand the scripts a little bit different.
Yeah.
They can kill it because they understand the game already.
Yes. I see guys like you are OGs, and like you're the people that the gurus look up to. But sometimes guys at your level, you get critiques because some of the things that you guys teach, they'll say, oh, well, that's basic, or that's like entry level. And what I try to explain to people is, I go to conferences to remember the stuff I knew I forgot. And also the basic principles are evergreen. And so you need to always be reminded of these evergreen things, or you're a ship that constantly makes a 1-degree turn. So what are some of the basics that you think take place and like every sales opportunity that was here 30 years ago, that'll be here 20 years from now?
I think the number one thing is, if I had to rewind it, if I were to start over today, what's the most important thing? And when I look back, I didn't have mindset back then. But I jumped in and I went door knocked 100 doors a day, 5 days a week for 10 years straight. Every day. Now I live in Seattle. It ain't always sunny, just so you know.
Amen.
So, but I had scripts.
Yes.
And I had objection, that the most common objection that
I
was going after sellers because I was the listing agent.
Yes.
And so I knew if I'm going to do this well, I just got to know what I need to say, and I need to say it well, and I need to deliver it powerfully. So I memorized those damn scripts and dialogues and the objection like it was a Bible, bro. And then what happened was I needed live reps. And so I think the basic is you got to know the scripts, and you got to know the most common objection, and you got to know it, internalize Like if somebody talked to you, you could easily just roll with it and it become natural, and you know it, but it's different until you meet somebody live. So you know the script and dialogue basic, then you got to go out there and practice on real people.
Yes.
Inside the reps, you will get better at learning how to listen, respond, and then when you do that well, you build mindset.
Absolutely. I love how you said reps, because that's exactly what it is to me. I think it's like you're putting in reps until you get your first positive conversion. And now you have a KPI. And it kind of takes this emotional wave of, oh my gosh, of course they're going to say no. It takes you 14 houses to even get in the door. And then you have these numbers. And when you can remove that emotion and you understand the reps are just a KPI, I think it allows you to be strategic about it and know and have. And Thach, I'll share this with you. My very first sales mentor, I did well in Virginia and he recruited me down to Florida and I didn't have a place and he let me stay at his house. I slept with that sales training. I knew every word and I slept with it under the pillow while I was in my first mansion I had ever stayed in my entire life. First time I saw palm trees in my entire life was on this trip. And it meant so much to me to know it inside and out, because then I wasn't fearful. I knew what they would say on every call. I was prepared for it. And so that's why it's important to have the objections already known.
I'm gonna say this too. If you don't have it internalized, then you can't really listen presently. Because you're too busy trying to think in your brain, what's the next question when a seller is talking and you didn't pick up that one word that say to you, oh, they're not motivated to sell.
How do you train the places in between the questions? And maybe I'll rephrase a little bit better. One of the things I struggle with training is getting people to use silence as a strategy.
Yes.
And what they're so eager is to go on to the next question. They're not really actively listening, like you were just saying. So they don't pick up that word. And then when they deliver powerful words, they don't pause to let the customer feel it. So
I think from my experience, and I see this a lot from people, they don't have the script internalized because they have it in order. And if they don't get the question out, they're going to mess up the order and then they don't know where to pick it up at.
Yes.
So you got to internalize it. It doesn't matter if you internalize it and someone's talking for 5 hours, you can pick up the next question because it's already internalized. You don't need to sit and think, because when you're thinking, your eyeball rolls up to your brain, right? You think, oh man, Scott better, I better make sure I deliver this next question, otherwise I'm going to forget. But I can't even hear Scott was asking me. And I think that's the biggest thing, that people don't have it internalized. Now, I know that because I was there before.
Yes.
But I also know that when I got it internalized, I can ask one question and then I can let somebody rip and I can easily listen, talk. I can even like go a little side note, probe what he says, and go back to my main skeleton's question.
When you were door knocking, did you ever encounter other door knockers from even other industries out there? Or was it mainly just you on an island?
Bro, it was me on the island, man. Okay. I mean, my offer was like, what the hell? I was 21 years old when I started door knocking. Nobody door knocked, bro. At 21 years, I'm 55 years old. I started, 30 years ago?
Yes.
Right? At 21, 30 years ago, the fact cold calling and door knocking was a sin. Other than if you was, one of those people that go to your door, selling you Bibles, right?
Yeah. The Mormons.
That's it. So for me to go out there and door knocking, because I was 21 years old, I didn't have no business. And my mentor taught me, you can either wait for the business to call you. The problem is you can't predict it, duplicate it. Or you go out there and you find the business and you can track the KPIs. And you can cold call and door knock. Which one would you rather do? Well, shit, give me the script. Let me memorize it. So I door knock 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 10 years straight. And today, Scott, still door knock today, me.
You'll see, you driving down, you see something and you just get out. Yeah.
Right. But I would tell you the funny thing I would mess with people is, but I don't park the Rolls Royce in front of the house. I gotta park the Rolls Royce
down the street. Down the street. Yeah, I understand. 15, I was going through your bio. You're doing bagging groceries at Safeway.
That's right.
And I'm sure if you would have said, somebody would have came up to you and said, hey, in 6 years, you're going to be knocking on hundreds of doors in the rain, you probably said, I don't want to do that. Do you think if you knew at the end what would be at the end of the journey, like, did you stumble into it, or did you just like get in this habit of going through it, or did you know this was going to be the outcome? Did you have that conviction, like, I dig into this, I'm going to have this outcome?
The only reason why I got into real estate, because I finished college in 91, now 21 years old, as an A&P mechanic, right? Because my older brother, they was in the aviation business. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do, right? And I got my A&P mechanic license, and then I wasn't inspired, and that was the key. I'm teaching my kid today, right? He's a freshman in college, the other one's a junior, and I try to help them find out what's inspiring to them.
Yeah.
For me, it was an aviation airplane. For my two older brother, they love it, right? And it was sales for me. And so somebody said, hey, Dad, why don't you go do real estate? Because you can make 7%. Well, you know, it's not all true, right?
Yeah.
But that right there was the thing that inspired me, because I wanted to make some money, because I was working at Safeway and a body shop. So I just wanted to make money. You see what I mean? So if someone said to me, Dad, I'm going to go out there and say real estate, make money, I just leave it alone like that, because if that's what inspired them, great. But it evolved more than money later on. But that was the thing that hooked me. And that right there got me going as I want to get into real estate and make money. And I'm willing to do what it takes to make money, because I want to make some money. Now, as I started making money, the second thing that came to me why I wanted to make more money was I wanted to retire my mom and my dad. And that was the real fuel then. Because making money was like, you know, like regular gas. But retiring my mom and dad was like super unleaded.
Yeah. And
then that's when I really started. Because, you know, when I was door knocking at the beginning, my KPI was like 300 contacts to get a lead.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
But when I got better, the reason for my mom and dad, I worked on the KPI to get from 300 down to like 30 contact to get a lead. Wow. But that was my fuse. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. It makes sense. Were you able to, while they are in great health, were you able to accomplish?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I retired my mom, right? Amen. She worked at, you know, the little warehouse factory, 40, 50 hours a week. You know what I mean? Yeah. I retired her, and then retired my dad. I took those guys and had them travel around, you know, the world, go to Vietnam all the time. Yeah. My dad always wanted a Mercedes-Benz. I bought him a Mercedes-Benz. Right? And then a year later, he died from cancer. So
sorry to hear that. Yeah.
So I tell you guys, when you're listening, never wait until tomorrow when you can do it today.
Amen. I love that. So for the young man or woman out there that's listening, he's like, okay, he's got this. He started out door knocking, low barrier of entry, cold calling, rather low, bandit signs, rather low barrier. I think that the reason why I love door knocking the most, and I have a big call center, so I'm actually putting that above call center, and then call center, and then bandit signs and orders, because you really get to test your steel. You really got to build. If you can be successful in these strategies here, to be very candidly, where you're putting signs up at 4 a.m. in the morning, you've built an incredible foundation. So for the people who are struggling, what's some of the advice that you would give somebody who's like, hey, man, I'm going to the door and the amount of rejection is just through the roof, or I struggle to get out of the car, I get nervous?
I would say the biggest tip, it's not about you. It's bigger than you. It's about how can I make a difference? How may I serve the people?
Right.
Now, even if you're a wholesaler and investor like me today, and I still sell real estate as a realtor, remember, not everyone needs a sale. But when they do want to sell, can we be a contribution to them and make their life easier and smoother and lighter?
Yes.
So if you got integrity, then your job is to go out there. And when you door knock, if you like being a public speaker, if you're focusing on you, you're gonna be nervous as shit on stage, because you focus on you, like, oh my God, I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't forget my script. I hope. But if you focus on how can you inspire the person in the audience, then you forget about you. So if you're out there doing sales, the key thing is, of course, we want to make money. Of course, we want to go out there and find leads. Yeah. But when you are cold calling, just remember, you calling, think about your mom or your mom's friend on the other line. And when you're calling with the mindset of, how may I help Mrs. Jones if she needs to sell her property?
Yes.
When you do that, all your fear goes away because it's not about you no more.
You know, my first mentors were really in books, and Zig Ziglar changed my life beyond anybody else.
You can help anyone you can. You can help everybody you can if you help enough people get what they want.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what you just reminded me of. And it's like having that conviction, like, okay, I have really big goals, and it is a fact for me to accomplish these. I have to help a really big group of people.
That's right.
And so it's that correlation. And what you just said reminds me is like the difference between making a living to making a fortune.
That's right.
And when you put I'm here to assist them, to serve them, that's when I can start to make that transition to making a fortune.
I wrote I created a law. It's called the law of contribution. And the law of contribution says this, you guys. The level of your success and happiness is in direct proportion to the number of people you serve selflessly. So the more people you serve selflessly, the more you're going to be actually getting paid. So if you ever want to be fearless as a salesperson, take the focus off you and put the focus on them. And then have integrity. Know your scripts and dialogue, well, internalize it. Practice the reps. Practice the reps on making the call, making the door. But always come from how may I serve? How may I serve? If you do that, you're going to get results faster and it's feel even better.
I think a lot of people with that in mind should also appreciate the level of their competition. You can always count on that mediocrity. And what he's talking about is just fundamental principles. It's no different than being on the treadmill. Like we're just putting in reps. We're getting our training in. We're getting our cardiovascular exercise in. But if you don't have that strategy and that mindset, what you end up being is just mediocre and average. And
I wrote a book with my friend Matthew Ferry. You guys can Google it, right? It's called The Gift. Okay. If you type in Thach Nguyen and the book called The Gift, it's a small little book, and it's actually learning how to give people the gift. And the gift has 4 steps. 1, right? Remove your agenda. 2, find out what's important to them. 3, make a contribution to them if you can. And then 4, right? Repeat the process.
Is that kind of what led you into the Nan's house? Can you tell us more about this? I was so amazing seeing this myself.
Young's house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when my dad passed away, right? He was a social worker. And so there was a nonprofit in Seattle. I sat on the board called First Place. And First Place is a school where it give people kids a place to go to school when they don't have a permanent address because they live in the homeless shelter. And so since you live in a homeless shelter, you don't have a permanent address, so you can't go to public school. So what happened is that when these family are in the shelter, right? They come to First Place, and First Place, educate the kid, and then First Place also is a place where they can help them find housing. So I was on the board, and then one day they asked me that, do you have any houses? Now, of course, it was like, damn, they got no first, they got no last deposit, they ain't got good credit. But we also partner up with Seattle Housing Authority where they can provide voucher for these family.
Nice.
So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do God's work. And so I decided to rent out one house to one family, right? And then just waive all the fees, waive all the deposit and just work with these family. And so one house leads in 2 houses, leads out to 4 house, 5 house, and then, a lot, 30 something, you know what I mean? And then what happened was I built this 7 brand new townhouse site. And then I used that whole 7 brand new townhouse site for family coming out of First Place. And so when we built it, we plaqued that place in Young's house, which is my dad.
I love that, bro. I love it. And I think about, obviously, everything's rewarding in different levels, but you'll never know the impact of, and maybe you'll get a glimpse, but they can believe in themselves again. And they can wake up and be like, hey, I have stability. I can go and do something. Like, it's such an impactful thing to do, is to help somebody maybe believe in the first time since they were a little kid.
And that's why, again, it comes back to contribution. I have 8 core value in life.
Okay.
And I found this through my journey. Core value number 1 is the highest one, contribution. Core value number 2, abundance. Abundance of air, time, money. Core value number 3 is growth, creativity,
Nice.
joy. Simplicity is another one for me. Okay. Balance and integrity.
I love it.
So anytime I'm involved in something, it has to have those 8 equity in life. Otherwise, I'm just not interested in being involved.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say to you guys, the core in life, at the end of the day, you can look at everything out there, right? Everything is all about contribution. The more you can live the law of contribution, the more money you're going to make.
You know, it's so funny. A lot of times I'll meet these really high velocity real estate guys or sales industries, and this is a sales podcast. So darn it, tactics, objections, rebuttals. But we always end up about right here, which is where we're talking about the pregame of life. That's right. What we do to ourselves, our morning routines, our core values, how we've shifted our mindset to be able to go out there in the world, our contributions, because I think people maybe don't put enough focus on that. Like, I want to be the best version of me first before I be the best salesperson or the best real estate investor that I can be.
And here's the thing, it doesn't mean that you can make money,
amen,
without understanding what we just talked about. It's just a grind. But when you understand what we just said, then you are aligned.
Woo! What's excuse me, I'm gonna say it the wrong way. Fuck how.
So one day I'm speaking. Well, first of all, there's a universal thing that says your job is not to know how things are going to happen. You can't control that. Your job is to control what you want, is your desire. So your job every day is to figure out what you want. Write it down. But forget the how, because that's the universe's job. It's going to connect you to the right people at the right time, at the right situation, right? So the problem is so many people get stuck in the how and they never get started. So I always tell people, just focus on what you want, why you want it, put it out there, speak it to existence, and just give up and fuck how. And I said that one day at a big giant seminar, and Tom Ferry thought I said fuck how. And I said, no, bro, I didn't say fuck how. I said, forget the how. And then I decided to make a little fun thing out of it. I said, Fuck, HAU, PHUK is basically Phuk in Vietnamese means blessing. And then HAU is a name. So I always say to people, you want to dream big, fuck how. But it's not what you think, it's spelled this way.
I love it. Yeah, it caught me. I was going through some of the stuff. I said, oh, I love that. And I kind of understand the concept a lot better now. I want to talk tactical stuff on real estate for a moment. I see a couple of things, and what I struggle with the most about this industry. And so I was really successful marketing other businesses. I've only been in real estate for 5 years. And, you know, when you come into it, you come in with virgin eyes and you see everybody specializes and this guy's doing this exit strategy and he's saying that this is the best and this is the best. And you almost your head spinning. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, they actually haven't done deals in years. They're just coaching this concept that was maybe valid in 2022 or in whatever, 7-8 years prior. For you, how do you handle that when you see, because you seem to have a really cool composure. I've never seen you necessarily call anybody out, but what do you
I
do?
want to though.
I know. But so like, how can we keep an eye out to know what's best? Is it best to be full rounded? Like, what is your kind of concept when you're like, I'm a newbie and I don't know who to follow and what to do?
Yeah. I said, number one, follow someone, not just for the money they make. Follow someone who is making the money you want to make, but also follow someone who has the beingness that you also want.
Amen.
Because, you know, there is be, do, and have. Follow someone that you love to have what they want. Follow someone that love to that you love to do what they're doing. But more importantly, the being is who they are. So there's so many people out there that have great success. They're doing great things. Who they are is someone I wouldn't want to actually ride with, because that's the real person.
Yes.
And so I say follow someone that you appreciate and wish to emulate who they're being, what they're doing, and what they have. And most people have and do, but they don't really have the being down.
Yeah. And it also goes back to that authenticity part. You can sense it. A lot of times what I find is, I came up and learned sales when the phone wasn't as easy to access. And so like I got all my education through a book, and it was more streamlined, and you had to have a certain degree to be able to be popular enough, and not a college degree, but a degree of authenticity to be able to publish a book and to have other people talking about it. But now it's so bells and whistles, and it's so easy to get distracted that I understand. But if you study something long enough, you'll pick up on it, and you'll kind of pick up on what, like you said, their being is. I know one of the hot topics right now tactically are ADU units. What are ADUs in your market? What do you see the future of it maybe spreading out more nationally? Walk us through how ADUs can make us a better real estate investor.
ADU is the new cash flow hack now. Back in the day when things were cheaper, the 1% rule was easy to hit. You get $3,000. You buy a house for $300,000. You get $3,000 for rent, right? 1% rule, easy.
Yeah.
Well, as the real estate market more and more and more expensive, especially in the expensive area, you buy a house in Seattle for $800,000. The most you might get is $4,000 in rent. So you won't even make it no more, right? Yeah. And so ADU now is, in my opinion, most people don't see this yet because I do a lot of it now, is they see it sometimes building it as it's great to, to rent, but they don't see the depthness of it. ADU stand for accessory dwelling unit. And basically it's a smaller unit, anywhere between 500 to 1,000 square feet right now, that usually are built on the same lot as your single family primary residence, or a single family lot. Usually it's on the backyard, and the house in the front. And so to me, ADU is the new cash flow hack. And why I say that is this. First of all, in Seattle, I use Seattle example. Let's say you got a 5,000 square foot lot.
Yep.
If the house sits in the front, you have a backyard. Well, when you bought the property, you never paid anything for the backyard. So the backyard's free. So your cost is already at zero when you walk in. So all you have to do is just pay for construction. So a lot of people don't realize this either. It costs about $350 to build the ADU a square foot.
Yeah.
If you build 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet, it costs you $350,000. In Seattle, we get $3,500 for those, so $4,000, no problem. In the most desirable neighborhood of Seattle. In that same area, home is selling for $800,000, and they're getting $4,000. But people are willing to pay $4,000 for rent for a smaller unit because they're brand new. And so here's the thing people don't realize. Rent, let's say a $800,000 house, they might get $4,500 for rent. 1,000 square foot ADU, they get $4,000. What people don't realize and the $800,000 house, they're like 2,000 square feet. When the square footage drop, rent doesn't drop proportionally. So when you drop the square footage, rent doesn't go down from 2,000 square feet to 1,000 square feet and be half of 4,500. It doesn't drop proportionally. So as you drop from 2,000 square feet out to 1,000, you're still getting 35 to 4,000. That's why a smaller unit, renting it, dollar per square foot, is like $4 to $5 a square foot, and it's better than a bigger unit. And that's the magic in ADU. And the crazy thing is you be in a contribution by creating more housing.
Yes.
But the equity and the cash flow on these are like investing in Bitcoin when it just came out.
I love it. Yeah. The need for affordable housing right now and crazy, being able to go through this. I have a lot of people always in my ear. Right ear is co-living, left ear is ADUs. What are your thoughts on the co-living side of things?
Yeah. Well, I always look at resale. Okay. Some people, when they look at co-living, they chop up the living room, the dining room, the kitchen. They put multiple bedrooms in there.
Sure.
But when you get ready to ever sell them, no one don't care for it. The living room was, 20 feet, and then they chopped it and they made the wall out of it with boom more bedroom in it, right? Because I know the company that just promote those co-living.
Yeah.
They're great for cash flow. Don't get me wrong. Okay, you take one property and there used to be 3-bedroom, a living room and a dining room, and they create the living room and dining room to more bedroom.
Yes.
And they get cash flow. Don't get me wrong. But when you ever go and resell the property, it's a different story.
Yes.
So, but if you can actually do 1,000 square foot ADU and rent it to a family, it is like traditional real estate, but the cost is so simple. Now, the cost is actually so good because in Seattle, and this is what's going to happen all across America. If you Google, is there ADU in my city? You will see it is a yes, pretty much 80% out of 100% everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, what's happening, everybody, is this. First phase of ADU, how it started in Seattle, and it's happening like this across America. You have to live in the front house to rent the back house. That's phase one. The second phase is you can rent the front house, you can rent the back house. The third phase is they're going to give you a separate APN number. Only Washington State and California now has separate ADN. So let me tell you what I mean. If this is a 5,000 square foot lot, and this is one single family lot without 5,000 square feet, that's minimum square footage. But now in Seattle, if you build if the original house is here, you build an ADU, they will allow you to have a separate lot. You have two separate APN number on one 5,000 square foot lot. So when they appraise it as two individual houses, not a duplex, which spiked the ARV ridiculous. So in Seattle, we can build an ADU for $350 and it sell for $700,000.
Wow. Masterclass. I love it. Thank you so much. So I saw one other thing and I thought, man, I think he just described his analysis so simply. You had this like margins for like fix and flip. When you analyze it, you're like, hey, if it's like 20 to 29, I'll do a fix and flip. 30% I'll do a fix and hold, but under 20 wholesale. Can you walk us through real quick for these guys that are trying to understand what should I do with this deal? Walk us through this.
So I always say there's 4 type of deal out there. The best deal is basically what I call the BRRRR. If it's not a BRRRR, the second best deal I teach investors is flip it. And then the third deal is a wholesale deal. If it don't even fit a wholesale deal, if you're an agent, just list the property. So when you are evaluating deal, you ask yourself, if you're buying a fixer-upper, you add up purchase price and rehab, it's divided by ARV, right? You ideally want to be at least 25% of ARV. So if you got 25%, it's in a good B and C neighborhood, that's a BRRRR deal. You should keep it. That should automatically trigger it. It has to be in the B and C neighborhood, not the D. Neighborhood is the rich neighborhood. D is the ghetto. C and B is in the middle, right? So if you got a 25% margin deal in the B and C, it's an automatic BRRRR. If it don't fit a BRRRR, 15 to 20% is a flip. 10 to 15 is wholesale.
Yes.
Anything less than 10 is a listing. So when I get student, I say, where's the location? And they say, it's in D. What gross margin is it? They say it's 15 to 20%. I said, great, because you only should be keeping in the B's and the C, but you also can wholesale and flip. But in the A's and the D, you always wholesale and flip, but you never keep. So the location dictate keep or sell, and the margin would dictate keep or sell.
Oh, these types of simple strategies with your energy makes me just want to shut this down.
It's time to go buy some real estate. God damn it, let's do this.
Springboard to wealth. Tell me, how do we find out more about what is a springboard to wealth for people who may not know? And how do they find out more? How do they get more Thach in their life?
Springboard to wealth is just a community where it was accidentally created by a friend that says, Thach, you just gave this great tip to Moose, man. How come I can't get some of those, bro? And next thing we knew, 5 years ago, from one student as a friend, it grew to over 4,000 students.
Wow.
And today, my whole focus, you guys, is teach people how to have freedom to buy their time back by owning real estate. Now, when they find deal, the ultimate goal is to own the property.
Yes.
But if you don't fit the margin or the location, we say just sell it or wholesale it to take the cash. wait for the better deal to keep. But the goal is to own rental so we can buy our time back and have freedom. That's all we want anyway at the end of the day.
I love it. Gosh. Okay. Now, how do they find you more on social? You have the most like Google indexable name anyway. So I know we can just go to Google. We can go to AI. We can find a lot. But if they wanted to find you on social, YouTube, etc.
Yeah, I can find me on Instagram. Right now, my TikTok got hacked. I had over 2.5 million. Somebody hacked it. I'm working on getting it back right now. You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on YouTube. And I drop YouTube long form every week to show people what I just did. I just made a video on ABCD. I did a whole in-depthness of a whole YouTube long form. It's going to get dropped. But I make those little long videos for people to watch every week. So follow me on Instagram and YouTube, and you'll hear more of the stuff that I actually do and preach. And here's the difference with me, a lot of people. I still do it today.
Yes. I
got $100 million out in real estate, over $100,000 a month in passive income. But I'm 55 years old, but I'm still always eager to learn.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference to me. I'm always eager to learn. I'm growing. So my goal right now is, just for fun of it, is the next 25 years is to hit the $1 billion mark.
I love it. I love it. Authentic, inspiring, valuable, high energy. Hey, for those who don't know that balloon, again, those balloons say 55. So
55, not 25, but if you want a mistake for 25, I take it, baby.
No. All right, Thach, dude, I appreciate you coming and shooting some game with us. I really, it's super valuable. Everybody go follow this man. He is out there in the streets doing it. You can follow his guidance. You can follow his words, his sales strategy. Thach Nguyen, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you, everybody. Peace.
I appreciate it.